And next we have resolution number 6061. This is to change 2 of the parking lots to free and change parking permits in 1 lot. Robert, will you just briefly tell?
Yes, before it, as a part of the discussions that we had, there was an attempt to try to make it much more attractive to people to park in the lots that are provided and not stay on the on-street parking spaces which are intended for customers, etc. What we would refer to in the old days as the gold lot, which is on West Street between Bay and Federal, that's currently a metered lot. You may recall we had some issues relative to a permit request that this issue would solve. Plus, the court, when they have juries, oftentimes will point people to that as a location where they can park currently. They have to pay or they have to have a parking permit. So that lot is recommended to become a free parking lot, remove the meters, 8-hour limit. The district court parking lot oftentimes is not filled to the extent that it should be, so the proposal is to take, and that's on Dover Street on the west side of the district court building. So the proposal is to take those parking meters off, make that a free lot, 8-hour limit, except for those spaces that are assigned to the court. I think there's 8 of them alongside the building. In addition to that, in order to make the downtown area somewhat more accessible, we have suggested the idea of the parking lot across the street, which is the most heavily used lot and rarely has as much parking available to always being inundated with off-street parking permits. We've suggested that we reinstitute blue parking permits for that lot and that lot only, and only to be used at the meters. If memory serves correctly, I think there are 42 meters in that location, and we've suggested limiting the amount of permits issued that would be eligible for that lot and that lot only to 30, which will still leave 12 more available for people to come in off the street and use the meters. In addition to, I think it's the 8 that are up front that are free for 3 hours. That's the short version. Is that good?
Is there a cost differential for the blue?
Yes, there is. It's a higher price lot, and I didn't write it down. I want to say it was, it's a little high. It's higher than a regular off-street parking permit.
Are we talking $40, $50 a year?
Something like that.
Well, as we've talked about before, and I've advocated the West Street parking lot and by the district court that we do make those 8 hours, take the meters out of by the district court, which are better meters, and redistribute them to other parking lots. I think this gives us reason to tell those who work in the courthouse and other areas down near district court, here's a place to park, let's get you off of the downtown area. And the same with the merchants, we can move them over to West Street. Merchants and their employees, there should be no reason why they can't walk those couple of blocks and have that free parking. So I think that's a great way of saying that Easton is open for business. We have some great free parking lots, and we want to get people to utilize them. And then working with the chief and his staff, make sure that we're very aggressive on those individuals who are parking in the downtown area and abusing the time frame that we currently have, and being able to write them tickets that are progressively more aggressive in cost. The whole idea is to try to get people to come downtown and be able to find a space if they're trying to do business. And that's what I hear from the businesses that I represent my day job, and anybody who's in the commercial business wants to see some turnover in the downtown area. And so I think this is a giant step for the town, and I applaud the staff for putting this together.
Don't stop there.
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
Let's see, where are we? Resolution number 6061 has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Ruff, would you call the roll?
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mrs. Cook? Yes. President Ford?
Yes. And we have resolution number 6062, authorizing parking time limits for free on-street and off-street parking spaces. This is a resolution that is changing the time limit from 3 hours to 2 hours. And I know I've gotten a little pushback from that, and I know Al has too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're all starting to see some pushback on that. I would, being that we are now going to be changing those lots and making them free for 8 hours, I would like to hold this resolution in abeyance. Let's see how that works first, and then can keep it at 3 hours, and then if we have to come back and tighten it up and make a change, do that. Give us about 60 days after those lots are free lots for 8 hours. That's my thoughts.
Well, I remember in an earlier conversation, the chief made a point of that we need to make it painful for them, and I think doing that with the fine is a good first step. I know when we discussed this, when it was part of the plan, that Mr. Silverstein and I both asked, had you talked to some of the restaurants and some of those things to get their opinions? And no, there was no answer. I've gone to all the major restaurants in town and asked them, had anybody talked to them about that? And unequivocally, every one of them was no. No one had ever asked them about that. And there are several of them that feel if someone comes for a fairly expensive lunch, then they want to feel like they want to walk around town and do some shopping, that they ought to be able to do that. And I agree with that. And I also would prefer that we withhold this one until we've seen what happens when we start hitting them with that $25 fine and following up with it. I think that might get a few people's attention, because there are a number of people in town that have $3 or $4 or $10 tickets, but that $25 one's going to hurt them.
It hasn't just been the restaurants we've heard from either.
Pardon?
It hasn't just been the restaurants we've heard from either.
Well,
Some of them.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
but the ones I checked, because they're...
Mr. Ford, I apologize, but I looked up the question before about the rate differential on the blue permits versus the off-street, and with the most recently passed schedule of fees, an off-street parking permit is $175 per year, and we now allow proration, which was not allowed before. And the blue permit that's proposed for across the street will increase to $300 per year, which is $25 a month proratable. So just wanted to clarify that it was a little more than the $30 or $40 difference.
It's too late, we already passed it.
Just want to make sure it was on the record correct.
All right, are we of a mind that, Sharon, would it be better to vote this down or just table it, or process-wise, does it make any difference?
You can table it, but you can't table it for indefinitely. The charter requires that basically you can table it to reconsider it, say, in 30 or 60 days to look at it again. At some point, though, you either got to decide not to do it. You can't just keep it out there indefinitely without being acted on.
All right, well, let's take a look at it in 60 days, if we've got any. Maybe we can get some initial feel. Is that enough time for you to get a feel for?
I don't think so, Mr. Ford. If I understand correctly, the ordinance that you passed will go into effect January 1st. So
Yeah.
we would need a couple months to see if we're making progress after January 1st.
Now, why don't you just make a motion to deny this resolution, and then if we need to,
And come back again.
bring it back up.
Okay, so moved to deny resolution number 6062.
Second.
It's been moved in second to not approve resolution number 6062. Mrs. Ruff, would you call the roll?
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Lasher?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mrs. Cook? Yes. President Ford?
Yes.